Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's On Disney Plus podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Hocus Pocus trailer. We've also got tons of reviews that we're going to be talking about, including Only Murders in the Building, The Princess, Miss Marvel, and much more. But before we go into any of that, quick bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already done so, you can subscribe here on YouTube to keep up with our latest videos. You can also subscribe on the audio platforms as well, including Spotify, Amazon, etc. So you can listen to these podcasts wherever you are. You can find us on social media, Twitter, etc. to keep up with everything. And on that, let's jump into it. So the big real one was a surprise release, really, was the trailer for Hocus Pocus 2, which is coming to Disney Plus on September the 30th. It kind of feels a little bit. I know Americans go nuts over Halloween, but it's like it's only like June when it came out. It was like Halloween still. It's like you could have dropped this at the beginning of September and it would have been fine. But yeah, the trailer's dropped. It's more Hocus Pocus. What did you think of it?
I think that pretty well describes it. It's more Hocus Pocus. We obviously haven't seen much of it. It's a very short trailer, so there's only bits and pieces of it. But it does seem to have the feeling of the original movie, which is good. But we need to see a bit more, and that's probably why they dropped this one so early. This is more of a teaser.
Yeah, teaser.
A real trailer will probably drop beginning of September or thereabouts. And I think this is also Disney just wants to let people know we've got things on the horizon that aren't just Marvel and Star Wars. There's some other things, and Hocus Pocus is generally pretty well remembered. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, every year since Disney Plus has launched, the minute it gets to Halloween, Hocus Pocus goes straight to the top of trending. I mean, I remember last year it literally was the #1 movie across all streaming platforms, not just Disney Plus. I mean, people were just watching it in the show. I've seen it. I don't have any nostalgia for it. So I'm having only recently watched it. I think either last year or the year before. So I'm very much like, yeah, if this never existed, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. So I'm very lukewarm on this. This is very much like, yeah, whatever. It's not very high on my top list of things I want to watch this year.
I think it's so popular largely because it's one of the only options available. If you want to watch a Halloween movie and you want the kids to be able to watch it, your options are very, very limited. I think it's like between this and Nightmare Before Christmas, which normally also does very well around that time of year. Otherwise, you're talking about things like Friday the 13th or Jason or something. You're not really. Most people aren't really going to put like a 10-year-old in front of that.
Yeah, I mean, I know my kids' friends are. I love that one, but I think as well there's always a little bit tricky. Primarily, I think like Halloween has always been a little bit different over here in the UK. Of like, it wasn't really a big thing when I was a kid, and it doesn't have the same impact that it does in the US. But Hocus Pocus, it looks okay. Just for me, I'm just like, yeah. Well, it didn't blow me away. But yeah. And let's also talk about another trailer that dropped this week, which was for High School Musical, the musical, the series, season 3, which is coming to Disney Plus from July the 27th. We're getting new episodes every week. This time they're off to a summer camp. Looks like they've drastically cut the cast this time, really trimmed it down to a few core members. Now, whether or not that's because of the pandemic, also the idea of filming it outside in a camp might also have made that a little bit easier. I'm really looking forward to them having a little bit more, with it being just more better, because that second season was so flat with how they did it. It was just pretty bad.
I can't comment much on season 2. I think I stopped after like 3 episodes. But yeah, there is a difference between a series that was created and then has to be chopped up because of COVID restrictions, because you can't do reshoots and you can't properly finish, and then also season 3, which was hopefully at least designed around COVID restrictions, so they did what they were able to do. Plus, by that point, they already hopefully knew like what worked and what didn't with the style shooting. I think that's why it's outside, like you said. And then the smaller cast, I think that might be a combination of both COVID and recognizing that season 2 was just kind of like, we need to focus on somebody. We let the subplots go wild, and it weakened all of them.
Yeah, totally. It definitely trimming it down to like 4 or 5, 3 or 4 stories rather than trying to do like 10 or 15 simultaneous with every character get their own little bit. And they're also introducing some new characters as well. You've got Jesse, who was in Modern Family. He's coming in. You've also got Jojo Swallow coming in as well. It doesn't look like there's gonna be a lot of Olivia Rodrigo. I'm just looking at the poster. It looks like she kind of got stuck in at the end, on some blue tack. just at the end, I go, oh, she's oh yeah, wait, it's like she's way too big for this series now. I mean, she was on Glastonbury last week. I mean, it was literally last Saturday night here in the UK, mainstream, BBC One, the main channel. Her concert was shown. That's how big it was. It was like one of the biggest things over the weekend to be shown. So yes, you can see now she's just drastically out of Disney's price range for this show. And I think this might just be the send off for that character. And hope she's a little bit and she does a few songs and stuff. But I didn't mind it. I'm looking forward to, I'm thinking this series, I've got a little bit more hope for it, that it might tighten up a little bit and be a little bit better than like season 2, because that was just but I mean they've already announced season 4, so I'm really hoping that this will just move along a little bit and we get a few different stories and stuff.
I guess we'll wait and see. It's not that far off now.
No, it's not that far. Also this week it was revealed that Disney are taking the 20th Century Studios film Australia, which was made by Baz Luhrmann, who currently has just made Elvis, which is doing really well in the cinema. And they're going to be turning it into a 6-episode miniseries, Faraway Downs, because they've got that much footage, including multiple endings, that they're going to completely re-edit it and turn it into a 6-episode series. It's going to be on Hulu in the United States, Star Plus in Latin America, and on Disney Plus around the world. Yeah, and I was just like, because I remember watching Australia when it came out, and like enjoying it, and it didn't kind of go into that next level. And I'm like, and I thought this movie was like, oh yeah, no, I'm completely in on watching this, because I haven't seen that movie in a good 10-15 years, so I don't really remember it too well. It's got Hugh Jackman, Nicole Kidman in it. So yeah, extend it out to a series. It's basically give Australia the Snyder Cut. It's just yeah, I'm all in. I'm like, yeah, I'll give this a go. I like the movie, so an extended version. It's been that long. What about you?
I never saw the original, so it's all new to me. As long as they can integrate the new material or the reinserted material so that it looks seamless, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Apparently, because he tends to do very long films anyway, but there's just a lot of footage and stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Spent quite a bit of time out in the outback, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how this was, and like learning a little bit more about what went on there. But yeah, that one to me was like, oh, that was a little bit left field. I mean, that's one way of making a new series. I mean, but if they've got all that footage, I mean, why not do something a bit different with it? And Hugh Jackman, you can't beat more Hugh Jackman.
Especially Hugh Jackman from 10 or 15 years ago, when he was definitely at like, I don't want to say the top of the game, because he's still very good.
Yeah.
But he was definitely like an A-list actor at the time. Everyone knew who he was. He was in all the big movies at the time, and he's still definitely a top tier actor. You just don't see his name quite as much as he used to.
I think he's I know he's had a few issues with skin cancer, but also I think he's been doing a lot of musicals. I think he's just doing what he loves. And I think he's at that point now where he can do, I know he's been doing stuff on Broadway and stuff, because I remember seeing him on Broadway myself years ago, and in a musical, and it's just that thing. That's what he loves to do, and if he can do more of that, because he's not going to be doing Wolverine as much as there's a lot of attention about it. I can't see him returning for a stint with the MCU. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that one. I think that one's a nice little surprise.
No, if he shows up in the MCU, I think it's going to be a lot like Professor Xavier, where he shows up and they're like, oh, yeah, we just killed Wolverine. Sorry, guys. That he is literally, I think, the only character left that they have for the nostalgia multiverse thing, because everyone else has been done. The fan interesting characters like Mr. Fantastic are now out there. Wolverine, maybe Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds would be like the last two that they have to really build off the nostalgia rather than establishing new characters.
And I always feel like Deadpool's the one character that they can pull in from the multiverse and put him into the main verse, and it work because of his style. Can just be like, well, it's like, he can tongue in cheek it and he can get away with it, kind of thing. And I think we are going to see more of that. I mean, we'll hopefully find out a little bit more in the coming weeks and months ahead. We're going to talk about our San Diego predictions in a couple of weeks' time, nearer the time. Other than that, there wasn't a huge amount of news this week. A little bit quiet, obviously, with the Independence weekend this weekend. Things kind of seem to be sort of quietening down a little bit for that. But we got lots of great stuff to talk about this week in terms of new content. But before we get into that, I just wanted to. I had a little bit of a rant. I was gonna write an article, but I decided now I'm gonna just do it here instead. Of here we are in we're now halfway through 2022. We did the run through of July's list last week on the podcast, and it is very much along the lines of and we keep saying we're waiting for the ad tier to kick in to kind of give Disney Plus in the US a little bit of a kick up the butt and kind of move into the next stage. But it's kind of getting to that point of going, guys, you're going to have to start doing something at some point rather than just keep putting out ESPN and shark documentaries, because, they've been teasing and they've just not been putting things on there for nearly, we're going on to 7 months now. They're going to do it when the ad tier is like going, yeah, but we're about, we got about 8 to 10 weeks before that happens. We are hoping at some point they're going to, that grace period starts to kind of thin off a little bit where you're like, yeah, I've been giving you the benefit of the doubt, but at some point you are going to have to, do something.
Yeah. And like we have 5 or 6 titles we're reviewing this week, but only one of them is on Disney Plus in the States. All the rest are on Hulu.
Yeah, because it's just like, at the minute, all the good stuff, all the really more interesting shows for us are going on to Hulu. But even in the US, it's very much like we're not. It doesn't feel like we're getting the filler as much as it was. The lesser titles, we're getting better quality stuff. But because they're much more, they've got the production line going a little bit more. We're getting things dropping weekly with new movies and bits and pieces. This week seemed a little bit light. Because they had Miss Marvel, but that was pretty much, I'm trying to think what else there was though. No, because everything else,
there were sharks, there were
sharks, like that. It's kind of, it's just kind of feeling right now of like the legacy content of like what they're not really putting anything on there. Even the general entertainment stuff. We're literally gonna name on one hand the stuff that's been added since the parental controls got upgraded. What's it? Glee, the Finder, Alias.
There was that Disney Channel supervillain show like last week or something.
Yeah, but even that's because that's Disney Channel, I don't really count that as a general entertainment. It's just like you do kind of feel like, yeah, it's this. You're gonna have to beef it up a bit. They can't keep promising stuff. Hopefully we'll find out more at D23, but that's still September, so there's still another 2 months away. I'm kind of hoping, I was hoping like, yes, there'll be something a little bit more juicy coming to Disney Plus for subscribers, to kind of, because in the US, I can just see right now of, why people are kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say like there's nothing really exciting, I think, at the minute for Disney Plus. You got Miss Marvel, but that's not hitting on the same note that I think a lot of people were hoping for. It feels like now we're almost into August for the Andor and She-Hulk will be the next big buzz, but in the next 6 weeks, it's a little bit light.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate. I know Miss Marvel is interesting because it's not getting viewed by as many people, but its overall rating higher than all of the other MCU shows so far, the ones on Disney Plus. I wonder how much of a correlation there is between that. Like the people who, are just kind of like, oh, it's a Marvel show, I'll throw it on, Loki, Hawkeye, etc., and then they rate it lower. Because they're not super engaged with it. They're only watching it because they need something, and they're just not showing up for Miss Marvel. So the people who are watching it are very excited for it.
Yeah,
it kind of interesting.
And it feels a little bit like this weekend. It's all about either Gru and the Minions on the movie side, or you've got Stranger Things and the number, because they released yesterday. Nielsen released the number for the second week of, they didn't do the first week, that data's like missing, but it was like 700 million minutes of Stranger Things compared to like 900 million minutes of Kenobi. And this is just on the US. I mean, I have never seen a number that high on the Nielsen rating charts, on the streaming charts. It's like, I was like 7,000. I mean, I think I've seen 3,000, maybe the biggest. I mean, the numbers of what people, I mean, it does help with Stranger Things for being, you know, I think each episode is an hour. These new ones that have just dropped are about 2. We watched one last night. My wife said just before we were recording, "Shall we just put it on for half an hour?" I'm like, no. Once I finish the podcast, we'll sit down and watch the finale of Stranger Things. But it feels like this weekend is, you know, Disney have just kind of gone, yeah, we're out. It seems a bit weird because normally you got 4 coming out next week, but they've kind of left this weekend for. I mean, I don't know whether or not people go to cinema so much, or if people are watching TV as much this weekend, like as a summer barbecue kind of. No one's going to be watching TV kind of thing. It feels a little bit like Disney kind of just left this one.
Yeah, you know, the family gatherings typically revolve more around sport events, mostly because you can just kind of leave them on the background, and maybe your weird uncle will just plop himself down and watch. And I don't even know, baseball, I guess, right now, because hockey and basketball are done. Football hasn't started yet. I don't know what's playing, but
yeah, money in the bank for me tonight. That's my thing.
Oh, that'll be fun. But yeah, I think most people are assuming Gru is going to do really well, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a resurgence in Top Gun this weekend, because, you know, the whole like patriotism, America's the greatest, let's go bomb some stuff kind of thing. That was not supposed to be quite as negative as that came out. It's a fun movie, but
I'm going to be honest. I'm waiting until it comes out on TV. I'm just I'm not and I've said this, so I'm not a Tom Cruise fan, so that's why I'm not bothered. If it was probably anybody else, I probably might have done, but I'm just not a fan of Tom Cruise movies.
I will say, without going into it too much, when I watched it, it was one of the very few movies where like, oh yeah, this is a theater experience movie, because right at the beginning, one of the jets kicks in the afterburners, and it goes left side and then right side, and I could feel it in the theater. And I wasn't in one of like the fancy 40s or the IMAX or anything. It was just a regular Cinemax, no special features, and it was like, ooh, I can feel the engines kicking in. That was pretty awesome. Yeah. That said, you know, I don't think there's any particular need to rush out, but it was fun.
No. Right, so let's now talk about some reviews. But before we do that, just a quick bit of housekeeping in terms of thanking our Patreon and YouTube channels members. Thank you so much for your support. You can subscribe from as little as $2 a month, and this really does help, because it means then we can cover the cost of hosting the podcast, the software that we use, for example, for recording this the podcast, and other bits and pieces that we need, because, you know, running the site and stuff does cost a lot of money with hosting fees and stuff like that. So I want to big thank you to Sarah. Thank you very much for being a platinum member and for all of your support. Also to Andrew, Elliot, Jacob, Caleb, Red Marsman, Aero, Chris, Cody. We've also got Daniel, Darren, the Juice, Lauren, and Paul, while over on the YouTubes. Thank you very much to Mahmoud. We've also got Raphael, got Adam, Dana, Ricky. We've also got Dave, My VCR Still Works, Bina, Joshua, Dawn, Martin, Jeremy, and Sarah. Thank you for all of your support. And also make sure, if you are a member, jump into either the community feed or onto Patreon and get in your questions for this week's Q&A, which will be going up live on Sunday. So let's jump into the reviews. Let's start off with Miss Marvel. Let's do this one straight off the bat. What do you think of this week's episode?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was fun seeing them go over to Pakistan, and honestly, I don't know much about the country. Like, I haven't seen it very much. So,
okay.
Again,
you know what's more interesting about that? There, guess where they filmed that?
I guess probably in like New Jersey, but
Bangkok.
Oh well,
it's like, well, why would you go to Bangkok and film it? And film the outdoor scene. But then they did that for also with Moon Knight, where they filmed some of it in Europe rather than actually in Egypt. But yeah, I was really disappointed when I found that out. I was like, oh, I thought it was really good that they went to Pakistan and it was like different, and it just gave the show a little bit more vibe and just a little bit more interesting. And like, oh, okay, yeah. But carry on.
At least it wasn't a soundstage in the middle of Los Angeles or something like that. Yeah. And yeah, authenticity does count for a lot. So it would be nice if they actually went to Pakistan. I didn't realize that until you said that. But we do also kind of have to accept that is the norm, and it happens like everywhere. London is actually being shot in Atlanta. New York is actually being shot in Vancouver. Africa is like.
It's always the ones in New York where you're like, I can see the CN Tower and it's too clean.
or you're like in the Bronx and there's a giant lake behind you, and you're like, what? I don't think this.
I think wasn't that Rumble in the Bronx where they literally could see the mountains.
You can see the Vancouver mountains. And it wasn't even like in the background. It was in like one of their pan shots where like he's standing there being noble, and you're like, where the heck did these mountains come from in the middle of New York City? All right. Anyway, point being, it does at least feel authentic in Miss Marvel for someone who has not been to India or Pakistan or any of those countries. So I would not be able to tell. There is no CN Tower that I could refer to and be like, oh wait, this is supposed to be Pakistan, but it's actually Nepal, or So I won't get on that, but if you have been to Pakistan, you may be able to point out things like this is not actually accurate. I'd be kind of curious about that. But in general, ignoring that, I did enjoy the show. It was fun to see this different culture. It was fun to see their own version of like the secret society that was supposed to hunt the jinns and so on. Those two new characters that got introduced. So, and then just the interactions between the grandmother, the mother, and Kamala they're very fun. But also occasionally emotional is too strong a word, but having those moments where you can see them connect was nice to have in the series.
See, yes, for me this was a very mixed episode. I enjoyed the bits with the family. I thought that was I like that whole aspect of kind of incorporating it, but I really struggled with like these suddenly you're in a secret place and you got the red dagger and they're teaching you all this information. It's like, girl, you just did this 2 episodes and they tried to kill you, and then you've instantly just like, we did this less than like an hour ago and they nearly all killed you. So it was a little bit like, come on, couldn't have we done this there? It was like, did we need to do, they could have done that whole, I don't know, I just found that whole thing, and how it seems so complicated. The background story of who they are and where they come from just seems vastly overcomplicated, because I've been, like I finished the show and like literally just went online and was like, right, explain. Because it was just like I shouldn't feel that hard to be like, and they're trying to incorporate in the humans and this and the multiverse, and it's like, why have they made it so complicated? It just, I don't know. I'm kind of. And and I was like, I didn't even watch it on Wednesday because I couldn't watch it first thing in the morning. I was like, oh, I'll just watch it tomorrow. And that's like, that's a Marvel show. That's like, normally I watch it the minute it drops kind of thing. And this series is just, it's like, there's so much of it I really like, I think, but I feel like we just, like, she can't fight, and she's just in defense mode and she's not learning how to fight. She's just defending and running away. And I don't like the villains because they're so generic. I'm really, I don't know. I'm just struggling a little bit with this series. It's just not hitting the same notes that I was hoping it would do. It just feels a bit, it's a strange one. I'm hoping that the series kind of kicks up a little bit, but at the minute I'm just like, I've seen some of this stuff before and it's a bit generic.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with any of that, but I don't hold it against it quite as much. I think I'm more just enjoying the ride, but you're not wrong either. That was definitely going through my mind where it's, she's meeting the young boy with the red scarf, and then he's bringing her to mentor him like, please don't do another heel turn. I don't want to have you fighting 2 people now, and then also. The multiverse thing. I mentioned this during the Doctor Strange review several weeks ago or months ago now. I'm getting a bit tired of the multiverse. I know that's the big push for the current phase 4, 5, 6, whatever, but not everything has to be multiverse.
Well, also as well as it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Well, if they go back if they go back, they destroy the Earth. Like, well, wouldn't it have been destroyed when they came in?
Yeah, There's
And then like
definitely
no, and
questions.
you've got like Chavez like jumping through like 80 to 90 different universes. Why is that one gonna just? I don't know. I find that it's like you need to set the rules, and that doesn't seem to fit properly.
My assumption is that it's not the jumping between dimensions, it's the way they're jumping between dimensions.
Yeah.
They got to use the bangle and her powers or something. And that's the part that's dangerous. But like America or Doctor Strange going through, they use a different method. So it's
Yeah.
safe-ish. I don't know. But you're right. They do need to explain it. And on top of that, as you mentioned before, the villains are just kind of there. We don't care about them. We don't really understand. They want to go home. That's their motive. Everything else is just, they're powerful. I don't even know what most of their powers are, honestly.
Well, I don't even. Have they got any?
They might just be super strong and fast.
Yeah.
That might be it.
As a whole, those villains they've just got no. It's like they're not a threat. I mean, we could let the Runaways take these people out.
I probably could take them out, honestly. I wouldn't say that the nationality of the characters has anything to do with it. It's simply that we just don't know anything about them, and the show is not taking the time. We had a brief window, a few episodes ago when they were introduced, and we learned a little tiny bit about it, and then nothing. All we had from them this episode was them breaking out of jail and attacking Kamala, and that's it. We know their motive, and that's literally it. If the show actually took the time to flesh them out a little bit, it'd be much better.
And also as well, it's like these two new guys they introduced. It's like we have this great big team of what, 2 of you? It was like it was a little bit. I don't know. It was one of those episodes of just like, and this is again it's just wobbling around a little bit. It's either you needed more time to make this better, to tell the story better, or you needed less time to trim it down a little bit, because we probably could have done the introduction, the whole like flash image of showing you what the thing is. They could have had the main villain do that like 2 episodes ago and wouldn't need that whole scene. As here's the introduction of what's going on. I don't know. I just find it very. We've said this before with the Marvel shows where you get in that mid episode, episode 4, where the speed dial gets driven right back down again, and like, okay, we need to reset before we get into the finale. And then like, I feel it's like, okay, you keep doing this in the same episodes of like, what's the villain? Why, again, why is she trying to save the whole planet is at risk? Like, she's not ready. She's just nowhere near ready for anything. She just keeps running away.
Yeah, not every threat needs to be the world will be destroyed. I thought Hawkeye actually did a very good job of that, where it was just, no, that we need to help these people and we need to uncover this, mafia conspiracy, and Kingpin will be involved. Things
well,
like
it would have been like, had it just been like, well, we need your bangle to get home.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get it from you. And that would have been, and like,
that'd be fine.
Yeah, it's rather than like, oh, well, if she opens up the universe, she's going, like, well, how can you? And you're like, Miss Marvel can't stop them because she doesn't seem to, she's not capable yet. I don't know. And on one hand, I was really enjoying the series when it kicked off, and it kind of got to frame like, okay, but 4 was just like, did they need to even go to Pakistan? It just feels like they didn't need to even do it. They could have done that in New Jersey.
Yeah, but if we start going into the did they need to, most movies and shows and stuff, you can kind of play around with that. I think heck we did that last week with like, well, do you need Hayden Christensen for Obi-Wan? It's like, well, yeah, do you need Ewan McGregor for Obi-Wan? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just as a whole, like with 2 weeks to go, I'm going, like, where are we going? Where's the story telling us at the minute? Because I feel like we're 2/3 of the way through, and I'm like, okay, I really enjoyed those first 2 episodes of getting her up to speed, but it feels like she needs a training montage or something like that of like fighting, just to kind of learn how to use her skills a little bit more, so she becomes a little bit more of a threat. Because just defense, it's like, okay, I get that, but we've seen it for like 2 episodes back to back.
See, I don't actually necessarily agree with that one. I feel like she actually has the combat skills now. She's just a defensive person. She does not want to take the offense. But from what we've seen of her using the powers in like the last episode or so, she seems perfectly proficient in them, or at least you know, she can do what she wants with them. She doesn't. She may not know the full powers yet. We're not sure, but you know, in the fight, she's holding her own. So it feels like it's more of a I don't want to attack rather than I can't attack.
Yeah, I think it's just like it feels like it's just become like a defense. All she is shields. I'm just shielding the whole time, and I don't know. It just does not. Again, it's like taking, you know, there's a whole hunk of this show that I like. I'm liking the theme of it. I'm liking, you know, the story with the family, her introduction, the overall feel of it. It just needs some tweaks, and I think I feel like it's the villains that are the problem. Just not having a decent villain to kind of give a reason why, you know, a great grandmother, and like, I don't know, it's just a very strange one. I was a little bit like, on that last episode.
That said, it does look like the next episode is going to happen during partition, when a lot of the inciting events happen. So I suspect, in addition to meeting her great grandmother, we might meet younger versions of these villains, and maybe that will help us establish like why we should care about their agenda.
It's very tricky. I mean, there's so much of this series that is really interesting, and I'm really enjoying it. But it was a little bit just like, why? It's very tricky at the minute. I don't know if it's, again, you know, there's so much great television out right now, you know, because like with Stranger Things, The Boys, and a whole host of other stuff, that this just doesn't feel like it's on that level, and it's just a little bit below. And it's very bad to say that about. I feel like, well, you know, that's Marvel. This used to be peak, and now it's like, this is the problem of too many series and too many projects, where the quality feels like it's dropping a little.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think part of it is also it's a different audience. This is not the same target audience.
Well, it's not so much even just that. I just feel like Hawkeye missed the mark. Moon Knight had it was a really good series, but it still got a little bit like generic at the end bit. And it's like, you know, I feel like they can't just keep doing this. I don't know. It's a very odd one. I just feel like, you know, the second wave of TV series is just not quite on that same level as those earlier ones.
Maybe, but Hawkeye is actually still my favorite one of the MCU shows on Disney Plus. So I'm
I don't know from a different angle. It's just a very strange one. I'm really hoping that Miss Marvel kicks up into the next 2 episodes, where it will start gearing up and kind of get her ready. Because like at the minute, she doesn't seem to be anywhere near the useful Captain Marvel of where she is. She needs a lot more practice, a lot more training, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, like I said, I'm really interested in it. There's a whole host of stuff that I really like about it, but this episode was very average for me. Just didn't, you know, like instantly getting into that fight with this, like the red dagger. I'm like, okay. And just instantly, like within 5 seconds, just trusting him just seemed very like, okay, we just did this. But there we go.
Can't disagree, and just not quite as hard on it. So
yeah, I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's in some ways just like, I wanted more. I wanted more from this series, and at the minute, it's like it's not about it being a younger and a different audience. It's just like, no, it just needs to be a little bit better at this point. So I'm hoping that we go into episode 5 could completely blow me away, so that I could easily be twisted and turned, and it will just be like, oh yeah, it was the mid season drop, which we seem to be getting a lot. But yeah, so that was Miss Marvel. But let us know what you think of episode 4 so far. Let's now shift gears a little bit over to, let's talk now about Machine Gun Kelly's documentary, which dropped. It dropped on Hulu on Monday. It also dropped on Disney Plus around the world. They didn't announce the date in advance. We knew it was coming, so logged in on Monday morning. Oh, okay, we've got this one, so I watched it. Now I'm going to be honest. I had no clue who this guy is. I knew he was dating or getting married to Megan Fox. That was as far as I knew. So watching the documentary was kind of enlightening, of the fact of like learning who it's like, okay, I've got no idea what his music's like. So he's had a few hits. I don't listen to as much chart music as I used to. I was like, okay, this guy's drinking, alcohol, does what he wants, is an anarchist kind of thing. And yeah, it was just like, I got to the end and went, well, okay. I'll be honest, I didn't like him. It was one of those things. It wasn't like a documentary where it was like, oh, I understand you more. It's like, no, you just got way too much money and think you can do what you want. And in lockdown, you got locked down. And I was like, okay, yeah, I wasn't really blown away with it. I'm hoping that Machine Gun Kelly fans enjoyed it. I hope that they get a little bit more of it. But having never heard of him, this didn't really put him in the best light. It was, in some ways, it was good that it was a little bit more realistic. They didn't, he talked openly about the situations that he was in. I mean, they literally was like showing him taking drugs. I mean, that was kind of, they weren't showing away from all of that and like drinking and stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you like him, watch it. But if you don't, or if you've never read him like me, I'll just skip it.
And I haven't seen it. I don't really plan to see it.
I am liking that Disney are doing this a little bit more with having more music specials and stuff on there and reaching a different audience, just creating different content. Because you don't, like with music as a whole, you all like different things. But yeah, no, I do like the fact that we've got some different things coming in there. Also, this coming Monday, we're getting America the Beautiful, a brand new series that is coming in on Monday. So it's another Monday release, and we're getting the entire series at once. And 6 episodes. Like the first episode is more of like a America, here's everything. Here's all the beauty places, here's all the animals. Episode 2 is more of like the people trying to help America, like working on like trying to like save golf balls, like because there's a golf ball place where the entire ocean outside of this golf center is just covered in balls, kind of thing. Okay, and people taking pictures, and it was just like, okay, this is like an environmentalist episode. The other episodes were a little bit more focused on each corner of the US, of like different, the desert, the prairies, etc. So it was really nice. It looks stunning. It looks really lovely. It's less about humans and more about animals. It's much more focused towards the animals, but there is a little bit of human stuff in there. The scenery is gorgeous. I mean, some of the places in America are gorgeous anyway. If you've ever been to some of these national parks, they really capture it, and it is, it is beautiful. The commentary is done by I forgot the guy that plays Killmonger in Black Panther.
Jordan.
Yeah, I wanted to say Michael Jordan, but I was thinking that was the basketball star.
Michael J. Jordan, I think.
Yes. It's so again, and I have, if anyone's listening to this thing, you know what I'm going to say about the commentary. It's a little bit like a 1 minute it's like playing it straight and it's perfectly fine, and then they'll say the odd little thing which kind of kicks it into like the Disney nature territory a little bit, where it's like trying to tell it's like, why does American commentaries keep doing this, where they keep like sliding it back to, oh, he didn't mean to fall over there. Why say, it's like so cheesy that it's just like, you ruined it. You were doing it all right. And then you just kind of, I don't know. It's just, and I've said this many times where I struggle with American commentaries on nature documentaries. And this is just that same little thing of, trying to write little nice little bits in. It just doesn't sometimes work. But that's my own personal issue with, and it's not just this one. I mean, it's not that bad. It's nowhere near Disney nature level. But there was a couple of occasions where I was like, oh, that's a bit condescending kind of thing. But other than that, it's all right. I really recommend everyone watch it. I probably wouldn't say do a binge drop. I wouldn't say watch all of them. I would probably stretch them out a little bit because they get a little bit samey, especially with how it works. But yeah, a nice one probably to watch right through over a couple of weeks. I would stretch that one out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a cultural thing that our documentaries, we're just used to watching documentaries that way, and right or wrong, that's just the style that we're used to over here. So that's the style that continues. And honestly, I think most countries have their own style for documentaries.
Yeah, again, that is, like you say, and I've said this before, it's just, I love nature documentaries, and it's a reason why a lot of the times the American ones get redubbed by somebody else when they come over here, because I think they take that kind of, again, of how we are different, and just sometimes that is just the case. But I feel like, especially I think with the Disney Plus ones, you really like, oh, that's really noticeably different. But it's very soft, very gentle, but it's a very well made show. It's definitely worth checking out. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I plan to watch at least one of them this coming week when it drops.
Yeah, I'll definitely take your time. I wouldn't do all of them at once. We got the first 2 episodes of Only Murders in the Building. So they dropped on Tuesday. New episodes dropping every week on Disney Plus around the world and on Hulu in the United States. And what did you think of the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, I overall really enjoyed them. They seem to have an interesting hook for this season. They've got a lot of twists already building into it. I hope they don't have too many twists. Actually, it feels like they're juggling a lot of balls, but yeah, well, it has me hooked that I'm looking forward to episode 3 this coming week, and hopefully continue on through the rest of the series as well.
Because it's like I said last week, wasn't it? Where like it felt like you were just back into it. It felt like you didn't leave, and that was so I'm looking forward to watching that series moving forward. But yeah, I really enjoyed those first 2 episodes, though they could have gotten any other celebrity except for Amy Swimmer to do it.
Schumer, I think.
Schumer, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. It's not even her herself. The character that she's playing, which is a stylized version of herself. She's literally playing Amy Schumer. It's like, I'm not interested in your storyline in this. She's coming in as a fangirl who wants to create a show based on the first season of the podcast, or maybe now the second season of the podcast. And like, this isn't an interesting subplot. I mean, it could morph into one. We've got several episodes.
It probably would have made it a little bit interesting had it been like the 3rd or 4th season. It feels a little bit too soon to do it because they're still in the middle of it.
Yeah, I don't know. And then her character is odd. Like, you can't tell when she's acting or when she's not acting, and what her obsessions are. And yeah, we'll see about that one. Plus the whole meta thing of like, we're gonna turn it into an 8 to 10 episode streaming something like, really? Okay. Yeah. I get the joke, but it's not funny. Can we move on?
No, but overall, I mean, this is going to be a good show for the summer. But obviously next week we'll get into episode 3 because obviously I did a talk about episode 1 and 2 last week. But yeah, that was pretty good. We also got a new episode of the Orville. And I watched it this morning. It's like, whoa, they are really kind of coming in heavy on some of these topics, because this episode was all about one of the kids that was from a story from, I think it was season 1, where there's a planet with just males, but one of them gives birth to, or has an egg, and it becomes a female, and this whole kind of thing of turning the female into a male while it's a baby. Well, this is kind of like the follow-up to that, like years later, when she kind of, the child realizes something's not quite right, finds out that she's actually a girl and not a boy, and then having to have procedures, and there's space going on, and the parents are fighting. Really heavy. It's funny. My wife she's not seen the Orville, and she was just like, she saw like 20 minutes ago. She just kind of go, what is this rubbish? It was the word, because it was just like, because I was just like, what is going on with all these aliens? Like, this is not probably the best episode to watch off the bat, but it was like, can't help but feel like, wow, they were fully going into it, and in a unique way, that being an alien species, and with the way that they do it, and it's a very interesting episode. They're very political. I mean, we had the whole thing like with almost like the American political system last week. This week, we're talking like full on like transgender issues here, and it was like, I thought it was very well handled. But because they were able to take it away from Earth and kind of give it an entirely different spin, but give it a spin that we can see it from, just a very interesting storyline. I mean, again, not a lot of jokes in this one.
No, they've given up any pretense that this is the haha funny Star Trek parody. No, this is now just like the successor to Star Trek. And this is the kind of episode that Gene Roddenberry would have done if he was making Star Trek today rather than in the 60s and 70s. People tend to gloss over. The original series was very political at times and very social.
Like a utopia, wasn't it? It was always that kind of thing. The better version of humanity.
But not even just that. Like Star Trek is notable for having the first interracial kiss broadcast on stream, because there was that one episode. but they did it much the same way that this does it, where like, no, it's not humans. We're talking about the issue with aliens, and their culture is different, so it's not the same subject. And then just kind of sneaking it in there and going, oh wait, no, this is totally a transgender issue, and these are the major talking points on both sides, and presenting it in a way that is understandable even from people who maybe don't understand the idea of transgender or already have feelings against it, and then just running with it and seeing what. But this is a very heavy episode.
Yeah, it was very. I mean, it was very heavy. I mean, it very much. They pretty much got rid of a character. I mean, they got rid of a major character because of it. With the,
with Clyde running away.
Yeah, he's been a bit like that anyway on a few occasions where this whole situation he's very much been. But it's just but even his side of the story was interesting, of like where they played on it, of how he felt. And yeah, it's just been a really a very serious series. It's really kicked up a bit.
I did like the aspect to it that Clyde himself had been a girl born and had the procedure and didn't find out about it until later in life, and then of course had to suppress it because he lived deep within the society. And then seeing him doubling down on it repeatedly, like I wish I had never known. I would have been unhappy, but I'd be happier than I am now. And then him not accepting that, well, things might be different now. Maybe the world has changed, or the universe has changed since I moved on. And that's obviously something that you tend to see in these political discourses of like people being frustrated or not realizing that the pain they went through doesn't necessarily have to go on to the next generation.
They've also been dealing with it in multiple episodes leading up to it, with his problems of speaking with women and just like not liking women. And it's just a very interesting show. I wasn't, when I sat down and watched Orville a couple of months ago for the first time, this was not where I thought this show was going to go.
No.
And it is very good. It's very interesting. I mean, even it was funny. My dad said to me the other day, because what he's like, why is it? It's like, no, you get a new episode. Oh, good, new episode. I said, oh yeah, we binged through like seasons 1 to 3 like in a week. Because he goes, oh yes, I enjoyed it now because of what you said. It's like, yeah, but this is it. But yeah, a very interesting story with this one. Very different again, and then sometimes it's so different from episode 1 where we were just fighting with the sort of robots and stuff. But very, very, really enjoying the series. This one's really good.
Yes. However, if you have not started the series, this is not where to start. You do need to go back to season 1, because this storyline and other storylines that they've explored really do have the ground laid in those early seasons. And if you come into this one cold without the backstory, it's not going to hit the same way as
it's been really
seen this transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really good this week for Disney Plus here in the UK. We got Machine Gun Kelly on Monday. Tuesday, we got Only Murders in the Building. Wednesday, we got All the Stuff. Thursday, we got Orville. And then Friday, we got like the Princess and stuff. So we were like 5 days, new stuff every single day. So it's been really good on Disney Plus this week. Shifting gears. Yeah, and also let's now talk about Baymax, a brand new series which dropped on Wednesday. So it's a series of like 6 shorts where Baymax is kind of helping each person deal with a situation through healthcare, and then they all kind of come together at the end to kind of help them out. I thought this series was going to be a little bit longer. I didn't realize it was a short series. I thought it was going to be a full like episode. You put which I was a little bit like, oh, I was hoping a little bit more from this. It looks good. It looks like it's from Big Hero 6. But I'm going to be honest, I missed the superhero aspect of this Big Hero 6. That was it's like you took all the Baymax healthcare parts of the movie and kind of expanded on that. But we didn't get the superhero version, which I'm just realizing. See, just above my camera. You see, this is, I know that's literally just because I like the superhero version of Baymax. I mean, the cute and cuddly version's okay, but yes, I would have liked a little bit more of that.
Well, I think there's room for both. Obviously, we had the traditional style animation Baymax series or Big Hero 6 series, IET, with that went on for 3 seasons, and it's a really fun throwback to like the 1990s cartoons. It's not as dark as like the Batman, or it's got more of an X-Men feel than the 90s animated X-Men. Definitely worth watching that if you want the superhero stuff from Big
Yeah.
Hero 6. And since that is out there, I'm kind of glad they took this other side of things and kind of you get to see Baymax as Baymax doing what he was designed to do in the first place. And it's short, so it's not a big thing. I also thought that we're going to be a bit longer, but it does make sense with it being shorter. You don't need to flesh out a 20-minute episode of like, you know, turn it into House but for kids or something like that. No, it's here's the issue, here's my prescription. Oh, you're fighting back. Oh, well, okay, now it's okay. You don't need, you know, a super in-depth, you know, let's do the MRI and let's get them through the CAT scans and everything. No, it's just Baymax doing what Baymax does. That said, there's not a lot of meat to it. You know, it's not a deep series. But if you want Baymax, if you want, you know, memes of Baymax, this is where to go. So I enjoyed it, but I also fully acknowledge, you know, it's not going to have the meat that people want for it.
Yeah.
In which case, go check out Big Hero 6, the animated series. It's actually really good.
Yeah, for me, it was very lukewarm, this series, very average. It didn't really kind of... There's a few points that were kind of interesting, but some of it was just very, again, vanilla. Just there was some interesting... I mean, there was the whole episode where she was running the cafe, and I, obviously, as someone that ran a cafe for 20 years, I completely understood the frustrations that she had when, you know, and the thing of you're injured or you're ill, but you have to keep going, because if you don't, your customers could go and you might not come back, or you're not going to make any money, and you're not going to be, you know, I understood that. And, you know, the customers, I mean, it was a little bit fluffy of going, oh yeah, she quit. She stopped worrying about that very quick. Well, it doesn't really work like that.
Wow.
But generally, that was a nice, fun episode, which I definitely could relate to. You had the whole one with the reaction of him suddenly becoming like to fish, and I really enjoyed how they played a little bit on the end of that episode with him like sort of asking one of the other market stall guys out on a date, and him like being really embarrassed, with Baymax kind of saying, you know, your heart is accelerated, and kind of being so. And I thought it was such a lovely little way of doing it, subtly. I thought that was really a really nice way. Then there was also the period episode, which let's take Turning Red and go like, no, all the stuff that they kind of hinted at, this episode went in on full blown, you know, healthcare stuff, you know, her explaining to it the whole thing of Baymax being in the store trying to buy pads and tampons and stuff. I have been in that situation myself, so I can relate to go like, what are you buying? what? Like, you know, and I, you know, and asking people, I totally got that one. I did pick up a lot of interesting comments online, because a lot of people picked up on it, and, you know, obviously going against it, and it was like, why are they doing this with kids? And I was like, this is kids between 8 and like, you know, 13, something like that. They need some, you know, there's these kind of stories can really help, you know, help a kid. And it's like, it does it tastefully. It did it all with, you know, science. You know, Baymax is completely just straight. Doesn't play it for laughs or anything. And I thought this was a really good episode. Really took everything from Turning Red and just dealt with it in such a different way. And I thought this was just done very, very well. I thought this was again a great episode just to have. Not going to appeal to everyone, but that's not what all these episodes are for. I just thought that was just handled in such a nice way.
Yeah, these episodes are important, and we talked about it when Turning Red came out too, because young girls are going to have to deal with this, you know, for the next 40 to 50 years of their lives, some all the way through their entire lives. And even though guys typically don't get periods, getting rid of the mysticism behind it and the ickiness factor is also very important, because I've also had that experience where, like, I was dating a girl at the time, and just like, oh, I'm out of pads, but I can't go and get them. Can you? And I'm like, can you send me a picture of yours? Because what the heck is this?
I've done that as well. As like going, yeah, you know, like what ones?
Yeah, can you send me a picture of the box, please? You know.
Yeah, no, we've been there. You know, and it is that thing of like, like you say, getting rid of the things, and we're exact prime examples. Like, I saw that from an entirely different light as an adult, As a kid, yeah, I probably would have just glanced straight over it, thought it was a rubbish episode, and moved on to the next one. And that's how it would have been as a you know. But for a girl, would have an entirely different things. I mean, I also say as well, I think, you know, if you, especially if you, you know, if you've got sisters and stuff, you're going to be much more aware of it. But if you're in a house like I was, where it was a brother, we didn't have, you wouldn't know about this stuff the same way. So I think it's important, and I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was a good episode, but obviously it's for you know, for younger audiences. And I thought it handled it really well. But overall, it was a solid series. Like I said, I would have liked a little bit more meat on the bone, a little bit more action, a little bit more superhero stuff. But I saw where it was going, you know, in how they did it. And there's a nice, solid, easygoing series. There's nothing, that was to me anyway.
Yeah, no, like I said, it is not, you know, a huge series. It's not going to necessarily be what everyone wants, but they are cute. They're very easy to get through. There's not too many of them, and they're fairly short. And it's more Baymax. I think that having this alongside the Big Hero 6 show works out really well. And I know that there are a lot of people who just really like Baymax, and this will tickle their fancy quite a bit as well.
No, I thought that was good. And then also, finally, we're going to talk now about The Princess, which this is a brand new movie that arrived on Friday, on Disney Plus around the world, on Star Plus in Latin America, and on Hulu in the United States. This one here was a action flick, sort of set in a fantasy fairy tale castle where the princess is kidnapped after refusing to get married, and he doesn't take too well to it and storms the castle and takes over. From there, she then kind of goes full Taken, and then does this full Liam Neeson deal where she's then going to rescue her family and save everybody. And she will do it, you know, she can just take on everybody on the castle going on the way down, taking out every guard she possibly can in the unique ways possible, full of action, full of blood, full of guts. I would say it's kind of like a Kick-Ass meets Taken, with the story and the plot is wafer thin. It's just like, it's the most basic thing, you know, because she's been trained in martial arts. I really enjoyed it. It was stupid, fun. I thought I enjoyed it. It was like an action film from the 80s, but just you've got the modern twist with it obviously being a princess. But then I think, you know, how many films have we seen in the past, you know, where the girl is the, you know, Kill Bill kind of thing, you know, where she's fun, full of blood, not a lot of story, 90 minutes, bing bang boom. That's what I thought of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much an accurate description of it. The important thing to note is that for the most part, the action scenes are really entertaining. They have longer shot action scenes rather than choppy cut action scenes, which is my preference. I prefer the longer shots, things like John Wick style or like Deadpool or something, where they let the action talk for itself rather than trying to jar you with, the Taken style or the Bourne style of fast cuts. So I appreciated that. Yeah, you know, you can nitpick or make complaints like, oh, she's a little teenage girl taking on guys literally 3 times her size and winning fairly, and like, whatever, that's not the point. You just enjoy it, just have fun with it, turn your brain off. It does what it needs to. I
mean, there's a whole thing where she kicks that big guy with a helmet in the nuts, and she's going, well, that normally works.
That was honestly probably the funniest thing in the movie, because you're like, oh yeah, that's the tip, and it's just like, oh, okay. And they never bother to explain why it doesn't work. It's not like he's wearing a, you know, like a cup or something, but whatever. And I will give points to Dominic Cooper. His character does not show up in most of the movie, and he has like nothing to work with. This is a generic villain 101, but he does a good job of making the character feel slimy, even though he's only got like 3 minutes of screen time in there. Yeah,
I mean, I could have done without the woman with the whip, because that felt a little bit like you knew where that was going a mile. You could see where this whole film was going a mile off. Oh, yeah. It didn't really matter. It was just fun. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but it was a nice, easygoing action film. Just I like as well, like, it's the princess in a castle, the faraway place, just like the most un-Disney movie possible in terms of just like, it was almost like I say, a mix between like the Kingsman and Taken and Kick-Ass and just kind of, and then Frozen.
You know what? It reminded me of the Raid, the 2 Raid movies from a number of years ago, because it's a similar plot where it's literally just the whole plot is her getting out of the tower and fighting her way down back to ground level. with good action sequences.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminded me of most of all. But it is definitely an amalgam of multiple different movies. It's not going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, but it does make for good weekend viewing. If it came on again, I would watch it.
Yeah, it's like, for me, I think because I like the movies that we've mentioned, that I like that kind of side of it. Also like playing video games and stuff. Kind of used to death. So, my wife wasn't quite as keen on it. She just thought it was like, it was a bit. It was like, it didn't have that impact. But again, it's a very easygoing film. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that like it, and it's not gonna win any awards, but it was solid. It was, and it's been quite funny because I thought, well, it's like, if the plot's not good, the action's really good, it shouldn't be good, but I really enjoyed it. And the amount of people that have said the same thing are just like, yeah, it's stupid and it's a bit violent, but it was fun. And it was nice having fun. I think that was the key thing. It was just a fun film.
It was fun. It knows what it is. It doesn't pretend that it's got some super important message. It doesn't even try. It's just like, look, the story is she needs to get to the bottom, and these people don't want her to get to the bottom. Go. That is the story. And then it's just her, getting into fights every couple of. Honestly, a bit like Dread from a couple years ago too.
Yeah,
that was the same similar setup. The one with Lena Headey and Carl Urban.
Yeah, and again, it's a fun movie, and I think that's not always a bad thing. It knew what it was, and I like this. It's a shame we don't get to get enough of these kind of stuff anymore. Because I think growing up, this was like this was mainstream. We saw this just one after another, and then everyone wanted plots and stories. Trying to overcomplicate things. They're like, no, just keep it simple, and sometimes it'll work.
I remember Jackie Chan doing an interview back when Rumble in the Bronx and was that Western one and Rush Hour and things like that. And he's like, yeah, when you're over in China and you're making the movies, it's just like kick this thing and punch that guy and stuff. And then you come over to America and they're like, what do you mean? I have to do a plot? I have to talk? I have to do this story thing?
Yeah, well, the thing is see, that period of time, I was watching so many martial art movies, all the Jackie Chan movies, Jet Li stuff. I was when all that. I loved all those films, so I still like that. And so this kind of took me back to that kind of easygoing film. I think it was like First Strike, and there was a load of other ones.
First Strike and like Drunken Master 1 and 2 and Iron Monkey they have a plot that's just there to give you context for why these guys are fighting, why you should root for Jackie Chan or Jet Li or Donnie Yen, and why you should root against, in this case, Dominic Cooper. And that's all you need. I need to root for the good guys. I need to want to see the bad guys fail. That's it. That's action movie 101.
That's why I really enjoy the John Wick films. I don't think I've ever seen them twice, but every time a John Wick, I'm in for this. This is going to be and Fast and Furious is kind of the same kind of thing of what you're going to get. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be big. And so I would recommend, if you like dumb action movies, check out The Princess. Now. So there we go. That is all of this week's reviews. There was quite a bit of it. There was quite a mix of stuff. Yeah.
And again, all but one of them is on Hulu.
Well, America the Beautiful will be on.
That's true, but that comes out Baymax on Monday on the 4th. So I haven't seen it, but like I said, I'm planning on checking out at least the first episode or picking one of the episodes. Plus, I just like those documentaries in general. And if the commentary gets annoyed, the little baby, she fell over, whatever gets annoying, just turn that off. The point is the beautiful visuals. Anyway.
Yeah, it will look good. Obviously, next week we'll be talking about Thor: Love and Thunder. We'll be seeing that on this coming week, and then we'll also be talking about Miss Marvel. Also, I've just put up a video today with the composer from Rise, from the Disney Plus series. So check that video out. It was an interview that I did yesterday, and also should have another interview going up during the week. So it's going to be a good week coming up. On that note, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you guys soon. Laters. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.